Good evening and welcome to the Foxborough Conservation Commission meeting, August 21st, 2023, in the Gala Meeting Room, Town Hall, 40 South Street, Foxborough, where the meeting is in live and in person and remote via Zoom and live on Foxborough Cable Access. Does that cover it, Diana? Good. With that, I will open the meeting. And the first order of business is welcome our newest member, Tanya Orlando. Welcome. Yay. And
yay.
Jump right in when you feel like it. And I don't see any public comments. Anyone? You want to talk about the minutes, David?
We have the minutes of August 7th, 2023. Bob was here, Jim, myself, Rich, and Rebecca. Basically, in summary, we went over 7 Perry Drive, notice of intent, 225 Foxborough Boulevard, request for certificate, and then 29 Baker Street, wetland violation summary. The only place I would just add a word is on the second page, down the bottom below the 29 Baker Street wetland violation, item number 2, that Mr. Law believed in the following 6 items, but item number 2, the swale connects to a culvert and then connects to a drainage line under the railroad, and there should be avenue after that.
Oh, okay.
That's the only thing that I would say. Everything else is a very good detail.
Sorry, I know who it is. She's going to be pissed, but Jane, you and I were talking about this.
Yes, we were, and David unfortunately does not have email. A while back, Paige was talking to Diana and she said, you know, we don't need verbatim or anything, and since Mr. Lord had brought, well, he had brought something to read into the record, so I have a copy of that. So rather than go into all of the detail, I sent all of you guys an updated minutes that took out a lot of that, the language that he spoke. Because some of it was a little bit misleading, in my opinion. But also what we're supposed to do now is to reference at the end of the minutes the list of documents that were reviewed. So since we have it in the record, that particular email, I just suggested, I did take out a lot of the language except for what you all said in the back and forth. And I sent I wrote to all, forwarded it to all of you saying basically, you know, take it or not, change or not as you choose. David, you need a,
Don't tell me.
I know.
So you need to review them again? Or what are you thinking?
Well, it appears that what was taken out was the homeowner, William Laud, who attended the meeting in person, asked to read the following statement to the commission. And that statement would be attached to after the minutes instead of it being in it. And also, Mr. Laud believed in the following 6 items, which I believe that would be attached.
That was also something that, yeah, that would be attached.
Attached to the
Right.
end of the minutes instead of being in the minutes.
But your back and forth with him, I wanted to make sure that you all, it stated what you had talked to him about. I wasn't at that meeting, and I was going to watch the recording, and I didn't.
Okay.
Yet.
I just want to make sure that we're not setting ourselves up for a lawsuit, you know, so.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
And I mean, if anyone ever wanted to see it, they could just watch the recording.
Yeah.
But in the future, when we look back at the minutes, and the minutes are listing all the documents and their dates, there's an email from him that is verbatim what he read. Just seems logical. I can include it or not, doesn't matter to me.
I think the main point in the minutes is that Jim
Go ahead.
stated very effectively that it's a town wetlands bylaw that is most stringent that he needs to comply with or work with. But that was put into the minutes.
So did he reference the email at the meeting?
No, I don't think you referenced it.
He read from a paper. I asked him to email me what he read, so I copied that into the minutes. That is not saying that verbatim, that it would have been read into the record anyway. So that's why I did it that way.
Okay. But we want to be sure as to what he was essentially stating, right?
So you took out everything that
Yeah.
he said, basically.
And just reference the email itself.
Reference the email, yeah, because he read from it.
But he read it at the meeting.
Why don't we say that then? That he read an email that was,
Well, he had a prepared statement.
Or a
and I
statement
asked him
that
for
was-
a copy.
And then he
There's
emailed
also-
it after.
Right here.
which was contained in an email that was received by the commission, right?
Right, but him reading a statement is different than copying verbatim what someone says. You're misunderstanding what Paige was trying to tell you. She doesn't want word for word of what all you people are saying and everybody says, but he read from a prepared statement.
Right.
So that's why I included the entire statement in the minutes, because that's what he read.
So whatever you guys want, I'm not set on either. I thought I was interpreting what Paige had said.
Okay.
So we want to keep it.
What's that?
We would want to keep it, wouldn't we?
If we want to have specifically what he said, that's fine. If we know specifically what he stated based on the email, and we know that the email states what he said at the meeting, which was his,
But the email itself isn't attached to the minutes.
No, it's not,
Just the
but-
listing is attached to the minutes. So 10 years from now, is someone going to find this email?
no.
Good point.
But at least we know what he specifically stated, right?
Yes.
So why not keep it in there? That's fine.
Okay.
So you want to second the minutes?
I'll second him, sure.
So Jim, your explanation in the minutes looks good?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Being 7:05, pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Foxborough's Wetland Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267, the Conservation Commission will open a public meeting on Monday, August 21st, 2023, at 7:05 p.m. in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxborough Town Hall, 40 South Street, or via Zoom, on a request for determination of applicability filed by Elliot, Guenard for the demolition and reconstruction of an existing single-family home at 30 Taylor Road, Assessor's Map 174, Parcel 004, within 100 feet of a wetland resource area. The application is available for public inspection at the Conservation Office, Town Hall. Mr. Buckley.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. For the record, my name is Bill Buckley from Bay Colony Group, and I'm here representing the applicant, Elliot Guenard.
You gotta talk louder, Bill.
How's that, Paul?
Okay, better, thank you.
So as you read, Mr. Chairman, we're here before you this evening for a request for determination of applicability for reconstruction of an existing home located at 30 Taylor Road. So what I'd like to do, I'm just going to put up, share a USGS map. I hope it's the right color. That's good. So this is this site is located on the west side of Taylor Road. It's about 1,500 feet north of the intersection of Taylor Road and Route 106. So for those of us who aren't familiar with it, and and it's kind of an off the beaten path part of town. So this is 106. So this is if you were coming from South Street right here, you go to the end, take the left, and then you would go past some of the subdivisions, the newer subdivisions down in this area here. This is Witch Pond down here. The town's pumping station is down in this area. This is Lake Mirimichi, and Mirimichi, as you can see, it straddles the town line. But on this part of the town line, this hatched or roadway that's shown here, this is Taylor Road. Now this map is from 1940. This is the 1940 USGS map. So I wanted to put this one up here to show you how long this house has been here. I've been trying to research this, and of course the town records are, you go to the assessors and try and figure it out, but it's, they're spotty. Place has moved and burned down a couple of times since then. But though this is the earliest map that I can find, there is like an earlier map, it's like 1921, that doesn't show anything. There's nothing up here. It shows no homes at all along Mirimichi at all. So I'm not sure that was just a level of detail of that map, or there really were none. So I'm just saying, as I stated in a memo, we know that at least since 1940, which is the date of this map, there has been a home there on that property. And I think it's this one right here. So if you just scale it based on what's there, and you can see, again, this roadway, which probably at the time back then was a dirt road. I can remember it as a dirt road back in the 70s. And it was paved in the 1980s by the town. So the purpose of me telling you all that cool history is just the fact that I want you to know that this building has been there for 80 plus years. And that roadway has also been there for 80 plus years. There's all kinds of local stories that, the road was actually under the lake at one point, and then when the city of Attleboro came in and took the lake to turn it into one of its water supplies, they built the dam at the end. When the lake goes down, like a couple of years ago when Attleboro drained it, because they were using it for water during that drought, you could see the remains of the road. Okay, I believe it, but I don't have any proof of it that I can show you. If you look on the plans, which I'll show you in a minute here, you're going to see that this lot is actually split. And I think it's a good time to probably bring that up. So I'm going to show you the existing conditions plan for this. And I'm going to share it. And you have that in your packet that I gave you. So it would be the Zoning Board of Appeals existing conditions plan for 30 Taylor Road. I'm going to zoom in on this. Here. So this is Taylor Road. This is the existing home, number 30 on the left side. You can see Taylor Road actually splits this lot. And if you kind of look over here, if you look on the plans, and I should know the year of the plan, but I don't off the top of my head, this shows what's called a contemplated road. The road was never built. And if you actually go over there, you can see, and some members of the commission probably remember this, this is a garage that was built on that side of Taylor Road, and the septic system was built, I think, I'm not sure when, but probably about 10 years ago, and it's over here. So you can see the edge of the wetlands. This, they were not going to build a road, and what you don't see here on this topography is you go behind those wetlands and it just drops off. It's a significant drop-off. And I'm going to guess that probably some of that was filled back in the day when these areas were built. But you can see this house, it's an existing dwelling. It's about 1,000 square feet. It's one story, but it has two levels. It's kind of a split, but not really. And so you'd come in on it. It has 2 bedrooms, and it has, one story. I already said that's one story. You come in, there's kind of a kitchen area. There's an area in the back. So it's definitely an old camp that's been over the years, has been upgraded to being used year-round. And actually, this has been in the Arthurlet family, either the direct family or by marriage, I think for 3 generations. Mr. Guenard is the 3rd one. And he purchased this, I think, around 2017 from his grandfather and grandmother, Mr. and Mrs. Arthurlet. And he now lives there with his mother and stepdad. And I think most people know his stepdad's Bob Siteman. So that's another portion of the story. Bob, of course, people who know him, Bob goes around in a wheelchair, he has one leg. And as I mentioned earlier, and the reason I mentioned it earlier is because, so you're in a house that has multi-levels and you are in a wheelchair. So it's difficult for him to access all of the house, mostly this portion of it here where there's a step down. So this area is one level, and then it's probably, I'm going to guess, about a foot step down to get to this area here, which is fine for most of us, but not so much for him. So what Mr. Guenard has done is he approached me, he approached Frank Spillane, and said, you know, what I'd like to do is I'd like to rebuild this home for my permanent residence. He currently, I think his home of record now, he lives, I think, in Hyde Park. He was a Boston police officer, recently retired. So he wants to rebuild this and continue to live there with his parents. And so what he wants to do is he's going to take basically this footprint with a slight change and turn it into a two-story building. It will continue to have 2 bedrooms. We've gone before the Foxborough Board of Health and received confirmation from them that this is a 2-bedroom home. The septic system was designed for 2 bedrooms, so there'll be no change to the septic system, no change to the design flow.
The septic system, the leaching field is across the street, correct?
It's on the garage side of it.
Yeah.
Yes. So then the next thing he had to do was, because, as you can tell, this part of this zoning in this part of Foxborough is 60,000 square feet and 200 feet of frontage. So this lot is what's considered a pre-existing non-conforming lot. The use is conforming. Well, actually, it's not, because it's 2 bedrooms, and it would require 20,000 square feet and only has 14. So it's a pre-existing non-conforming lot, and the density is too much. So what he had to do is he went before the Zoning Board of Appeals. Mr. Spillane went before the Zoning Board of Appeals with them in order to get their permission to what's called, the ZBA can allow by special permit an alteration, expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming use, and that's what they did in this particular case. So I'm going to go to the next plan. I'm going to get out of this one. And if you go to the overlay plan, so it says Zoning Board of Appeals overlay plan, and I'll share that. Share. And let me zoom in on this. So what we've done here is we've taken this footprint, so you can see the dark footprint, and that's the existing building, and the red is what he would like to build. So on the north side, the west side, and the south side for the most part, and he's on the existing footprint. Toward the Taylor Road side, he's a little bit further away. And down here in this corner, there's a notch. Right now, there's a notch, and what he's proposing there is to just close that up. So the footprint is slightly larger than currently there. But in the areas that the commission, I think, would find important, I also should have pointed out, this lot is kind of a peninsula. It's just a wall. So there's concrete wall, and this is a stone retaining wall, and it holds up the yard and the building itself. So in the areas where it's closest to the lake, so on the north side, you can see it's 15 feet off, continue to be 15 feet. On the west side, 17, continue to be 17, 16, and on the south side, it's 10. And on the front, it goes from 11 feet to about 12 feet. So on all the setback, it does not exacerbate the existing condition. Let me just go now to another one I want to show you. So this was the actual plan that the ZBA approved, which is, it says Zoning Board of Appeals, proposed dwelling plan with porch and deck. So that one, let's see, why can't I do that? Here we go. Again, I'm going to zoom in on it. So this one right here, and I should have left the other building on, but you saw the other building, how it fits on it. And what he'd like to do, what he asked the Zoning Board of Appeals for, is to ability to put a deck and a porch on that, and it was an expansion, of course, and the zoning board of appeals approved that. And this porch and this deck, and I'm going to show you in a minute, the elevation plan that the architect did, this isn't sitting on the ground. It's not like my deck where I live. You walk out my first floor, my deck's right there, you walk down 2 steps, you're on the ground. This sits on what is the first floor, but because of the topography of the lot, again, which I'll show you in a moment, it sits above it, and this thing really is going to sit on a couple of piers. So like on a raised, elevated deck on it. But it is closer to the rear lot lines, but it is within the landscape area and grass area of the backyard. So let me show you, let me pop out of this, and let me show you the architectural plans, which I did not show you, which I should have included in your packet, but let me show it to you here, and I can supply them to you if you want them. So share. So these are the architectural set. These are sketches that the architect did, and let me show you here. So this would be the first floor plan. So if you came in, if you stood there, if you go down and look at the lot, and you stand and look at the house, the front right, the door is on the front right of it, kind of shaded toward that. So kind of in this area right here. So you can see how the design has changed somewhat. You'd be coming in over the side. This would be an underhang. The second floor would be on top of it. So you'd be coming into the mudroom, kitchen, great room. There's a screen porch there now in the back. It's really more than a screen porch. It's a 3-season. And the deck. But the screen porch right now is over in this area here. It's kind of acts as also as a bedroom. So this would be the layout of the first floor. And again, this would all be one level, which is huge right now. And again, you walk out in the back porch, would be a screen porch in the deck. Let me go to the next sheet and show you. This is what I wanted to show you. So if you were looking at the house, so if we were standing right here looking at the house to the left here, this is that entrance I was showing you. You can see how the house steps down, and this is the porch in the back. So this would be the porch elevated above it. You can see what it would be. It would be probably, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5, whatever the architect decided, number of piers that go down in the ground and hold it up. It's worth to know that right now, this is currently a crawl space, just a little bit above the water level. The water level is about roughly 158 or so, 158.8. Crawl space is only about 159. So this would be above that. And then this would be, the first floor would be 163. So it would be, it's not a full basement, but it would be above that. It would be well above it. So I just wanted to point that out so you'd see that the fact that we're not creating impervious area in the back. It would be area where water can get in, continue to drain into the ground. As I stated before, the footprint is about 1,000 square feet, a little over 1,050 square feet. It will continue to be that with a little addition on the side. And you can see that, as I was pointing out, the second floor is what makes up that additional area. This is still notched out over in that left corner as you look at it from the front of the building. So we want to evolve. We're going to demolish the existing home, be substantially the same footprint. Porch and deck will be on columns. It's going to be located no closer to Mirimichi as the existing home. No alteration of the septic system, no increase. Erosion control, what we propose would be consist of silt sock and a construction fencing, and it would be basically along the outside of the top of the wall. You'd be using the most of the lot. And what I'd like to just kind of end up in is to talk about a couple of things. The first is Mr. Guenard is doing it right. Okay, he contacted us engineers, he contacted attorneys, he's gone through the town process, he's gone through the Board of Health, he's gone through the ZBA, now he's coming before the commission in order to do it. And as well he would, based on his family name, you would expect that. So I think that's positive. The other thing I wanted to talk about are the interests protected by the Act. Because sometimes we look at what's happening here and we get nervous. All of a sudden, it was just going to be some big McMansion on Mirimichi. And I think I've showed you it's not going to be. But it's also good to note that, what the commission handles. So I'm just going to run down through them because I actually had to print them out myself, although I should know them by heart. So the first is the Wetlands Protection Act, and the town bylaw mirrors these. Protection of public and private water supply. Mirimichi is actually a public water supply for the city of Attleboro. Nothing we're proposing here would change that. Again, we won't be changing the recharge. We won't be changing the septic. We won't be increasing the flow there. Protection of groundwater supply, it's zone 2 for Foxborough. So again, we're not increasing the amount of effluent going into the ground. Number of people living there will be the same, number of bedrooms the same. Flood control, not an issue, again, because we're not increasing impervious. Storm damage prevention, again, this could only be an improvement over a building that was built, well, at least the beginning portion that was built back around no later than 1940. But shellfish doesn't apply, fisheries does not apply, wildlife habitat does apply, but again, there is wildlife habitat on this area because such a large portion of the site is protected as a surface water supply for the city of Attleboro, but the area that we're talking about is either all building or already grass or paved or walkway. So I think that the commission could look favorably upon this, and perhaps grant a negative determination, or if we move into a notice of intent, look favorably upon the project. That concludes my presentation.
Okay. In principle, I'm not against, tear down, rebuild. My problem is, what type of a basement? You say it's got a crawl space there now, is that correct?
It has a crawl space now.
When they put in the new, are they gonna have to change that, and put in a new foundation?
Yes. Yep. That existing one will get knocked out completely.
How are they going to get the new foundation in and work around it without, and that footprint is, you don't have much space to work.
No.
10 feet on one side. And
Yeah.
I've gone through a knockdown and rebuild, and I know the process. It takes a lot of space in there to put in the footings,
Yeah.
new walls, and work around them and all of that. So I'm concerned that they can't do that in that 10-foot space.
So I usually have the same answer to this when it's brought up, and it involves us. So we live out here in the sticks. We're country mice, and we're used to 40,000, 60,000, 200 feet of frontage, and we're used to that. And we just are. It's just what we're familiar with. But there's lots of places around here, Needham, Newton, Wellesley, Boston, Brockton, Quincy, and places where I do work, that's where city mice live. And you just have to deal with that. You can deal with stuff. You literally have 0 setbacks to the walls, and that's really a contractor's job in order to make sure that it's done right. And then if it's concerned, like I just did a project on Lake Archer in Rentham, it was the exact same thing. It was a tear down. It was I don't know if you know where Lake Archer is. You go on 140, and you get past the school, come around the curve, and now you look straight down. Mm-hmm. That's Lake Archer. It's probably a 30-foot drop, and my client's house was on it. So we wrote a very detailed erosion control plan, sedimentation control plan, to the point where we required the contractor to have water on site when they did the demolition, that they had to spray this thing structure down so that they weren't getting wood particles and stuff in the pond. So we could do something like that if it's concerning, and we would force the contractor to, he had to meet with me, he had to go over it with me, and we could do that. And if you wanted to, you could probably put something in your condition if you chose to, I know that Jane spent a lot of time thinking about 31 Granite Street. I think it was 31 Granite Street. So that was a very detailed condition because the commission was concerned about, in that particular case, it was clearing beyond the limits, which is similar to what you're discussing today, and also making sure that the invasives didn't migrate. So it's not going to be easy. It'll be expensive. It's going to be paying cops to be standing there on Taylor Road because it's basically a one-lane road, and he's going to be blocking it on some times of the day. But, you know, you can definitely do it. It's just money.
That was my next question, is where are you going to put the equipment? I don't know what you're going to use to knock it down, a backhoe or?
Probably just an excavator. It's not,
And a roll-off to take the debris?
yeah.
Is that going to fit there?
We would have to fit it across the street. I mean, we can, yeah, that's a good point.
Is that granite project a notice of intent filing, or was it a request for determination of this one? The Granite Street project was just.
Water Street, I screwed up.
Water Street?
Yeah.
The Water Street.
Okay.
Was that a notice of intent filing, or was that?
Oh, yeah.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, don't you remember that? How could you forget it?
Yeah.
So many.
Yeah.
But part of, like, watching that progress, that makes me concerned about how you do this in that small space.
Yeah,
Because, I mean,
it is. It's not going to be, it's not going to be your basic tear down. It's going to require something. And so I'll put together a memo, and I think where I know where you're going, and I understand it, is that, you know, we can get into some more detail, that it's good getting this input now, but we can get into more detail as we do the actual notice in order to, you know, so that gives you some teeth in order to enforce it as opposed to a negative determination.
Right.
is it that, like, step down on the first floor that is preventing them from just trying to add a story onto, like, the existing
It's,
structure there?
yeah, it's just not, if you could take a ride out there.
Yeah,
you
I
can
drove
see
out today, actually.
It's not, you can see that it's really not set up. I'm sure the beams probably couldn't carry it. So you really, it's just a tear down. You'd have to build it on the second floor. I don't remember exactly what the entire foundation is. Cinder block? I'm not sure, but it's been a while since I've been down there. So it's really not something that he could put a second floor on and do what he wants to do in order to make it livable for what he wants.
Now, it was interesting, you mentioned Bob in his wheelchair. I saw the first floor plan. I didn't see a bedroom in there. I don't think.
No.
How's he getting up to the second floor?
That's a good question. I assume a lift. Let me just look. It wouldn't say that on here. Yeah. I don't know, I would assume it left, but I could ask. I don't see an elevator on there.
Yeah, okay. Now, I've known Bob a long time, so. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Yeah.
I'd like to get out there just to check it out. Anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Or would you like to, I mean, you can certainly go out there whenever you want and just to look at it, or if you want me to come out, I'll be glad to come out with you, but it's not much to see. I mean, you can
Just drive down the road.
It's right there, you can't miss it, we're not going beyond it. If you could just let me know so I can tell Jane,
Okay.
you know, so
Is she home most of the time?
I think so.
Okay.
So, Bill, looking at these plans that the zoning board looked at, the deed, it seems like, references 2 lots back in 1906 or something like that.
Okay, so
And then
that's the date, 1906.
then you only have some survey dimensions on the lot that's in the water.
Right.
And it appears on one side, the southerly side, that lot line stops halfway. And there's no additional proof that if anybody's approving this plan, even if it's been here, that they legally actually own out there.
So, great comment from an old surveyor. So Rich, if, we could ask, you could talk to Rich about that. He handled that survey. We talked about it, and it's very difficult to reproduce the lines. And the fact is when Mirimichi, when the city of Attleboro came in and did a taking for the land, so they took that. So even though that original 1906 plan would show that full lot, whatever it was, 90 feet or 100 feet, this is what's left now, and this is what they own. And I would guess, and again, we talk to Rich, give him a call. I'm sure you guys would love going over it together. The flowage rights supersede the ownership rights on that particular case. So that's the best I can give you right now. But again, just call it, come over and talk to Rich about it. He can go over it with you, or I can bring him in the meeting if everybody's interested in that stuff.
Yeah, because if we approve a plan that's referenced with this request, but yet we don't see if this is a legitimate ownership out here, I think we shouldn't be approving that type of plan, even though the zoning board went ahead. That's a small issue.
Well, surveyors do not determine ownership. They just give you their opinion of where the lot lines lie. So that's our opinion of where the lot lines lie, and if they're wrong, nobody's going to sue you for approving a plan because you approved a plan based by a professional. They're going to go after us. But, we feel comfortable with it. I don't think there's anybody who's got more work done out there, so, I think we feel comfortable with it.
And the second thing is, we noticed that there is a concrete, patio, and it appears that that's probably on the city of Attleboro's land. Are they going to remove it?
No,
Why not?
because they're not.
Understand.
It's not. It's been there, and they're just not going to remove it. That would be probably create more issues or more problems than whatever you would think it would solve. So, no, that's not part of our plan.
So if we approve this plan with those improvements are on the city of Attleboro's land and in their water rights,
You're not approving any, you're approving the improvements that we're showing. You're not approving, some encroachment that happened who knows when. You're just approving what we're proposing, which is the demolition of this building and the reconstruction of it. So, I don't see where, again, it's an issue with you, but you could probably answer it better than me. I think it's, just because something shows on our plan as a problem doesn't make it your problem or an issue. If the city of Attleboro wanted to come in, they can come in and take it out, I guess. If it's on their property.
has the city of Attleboro been notified of this activity? That's in the
City of Attleboro,
Wellhead area?
they were all notified under the zoning board of appeals filings, and when we've come before you for the, I think that garage, I don't think we did it. I think Dave Oberlander did the garage and the septic. I don't know if you made them file a notice of intent or a request for determination, but I can tell you they were notified by this, for the ZBA. And again, the ZBA didn't approve any, what could possibly be an encroachment. They just were approving the reconstruction of that building. So I understand your concern, but I don't, in my opinion, it's not your concern. It's not, doesn't become your problem, doesn't become your issue.
I'm not comfortable.
Okay. Peter, Jim? Yeah.
I'm just concerned, I share the concerns with everybody else. I mean, it's just such a tiny postage stamp of a piece of land that they're working on. I share the concerns that have been voiced, by everybody else already. I mean, I know I've driven down that road. I'm looking at the pictures, but I still can't call it my mind. I'd be
You need to
curious
see it.
Yeah, I'd be curious to go take another look at it.
You need to see it.
again.
Yeah, it's tiny. It was a dirt road paved by the town back in the 80s.
Right.
And they took it back in the 80s as well. You can see, at the time, that garage, they cut out around it. And I think Taylor Road was not Taylor Road. It was a dirt road until it was created by the town back at that point. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I think I have a path forward. I know what I need to do. I'm going to try and allay your concerns by preparing a very detailed plan, construction sequencing plan, erosion control plan, and then you can add your other issues to it like you have in the past. Water Street, I know Lauren's been out there monitoring stuff, and she's been reporting, and if, you can do something like that for this, it would be me or somebody that would be out there, watching it at the different phases that you want to see. Because I really think once it gets knocked down and once the foundation goes in, you're good. I mean, the rest of it is you're just building on top of that. But that initial portion of it is what is concerning, I think, to the commission as far as being able to work within the area.
It's going to be awfully tight.
It will be.
Yeah.
It's done the right way, it can be done. It's done the right way, it can be done. I had a small project on Cove Street in Mattapoisett, smaller postage stamp lot, right on the water.
Yeah.
Had to tear down the existing, and then put in, this 20-foot stilts, and then built the home on top of it. The street's, a one-way street essentially, and they were able to do it.
Yeah.
You know,
That, my smart guy response is always, just give me enough money, and I'll split the continent. Just like the Panama Canal. Just give me enough money, I'll split the continent. And that's really what it comes down to, is, you just the will to do it right and the money to do it right. And I have no doubt that this gentleman wants to do it correctly.
Do we want to do a group site walk out there or just individual?
either way works for me. If everybody can
Yeah.
coordinate their schedules, if not, then just go out on your own.
Jane, you have a comment?
I want to list my main concerns.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'd like to list my main concerns.
Okay.
Concern number one, will the retaining walls be able to survive? Or will it be, oops, we need to replace them and we need to dig here and do that? So, let's see, have you looked into building across the street recently? I know that in the past they've said, no, you can't have two houses on one property, but that little house there could be a perfect place for a yard. Have you looked into that?
That's not part of the design, and that's not something they want to do. They want to maintain their nice lot overlooking the lake.
Well, they'd still overlook the lake, that's the thing, and this is just, it's complicated. Now, Mirimichi is a great pond. Do they have a Chapter 91 license for anything there?
No, because you're not touching the water. I mean, if they had to repair the walls, what you were talking about, you would need it. But no, you don't need a Chapter 91 if you're not touching the water.
What if you do end up saying, oops, it failed, now we have to go and touch the water?
If that happened, then we would have to come back before the commission, and we'd have to have a Chapter 91 license. It's called a simplified filing.
It's a state requirement for Great Ponds.
Yes.
So where, on that note, as Jane caught on it, as I was wondering, where the footings are going for this deck, or like out, like they're getting closer to the water doing that, I mean, that's putting it practically right on, is that going to be on that existing concrete that Janie's talking about, or is this going to end up touching water, or?
No, it's in the grass. What we label as LSA, that's our symbol for landscape area. So if you go to that sheet that talks about the zoning board of appeals plan, let's see, that's not it.
With porch and deck.
So there'll
Yes,
be
with
like
porch
3
and deck.
feet between the footing and the concrete wall?
Yeah, it's in the landscape area, LSA. So it wouldn't be in the wall. I doubt that. I doubt that wall is
Okay.
a footing.
I didn't check, but, well, first of all, you need a certificate of compliance for the previous filing, 1573533. Excuse me, and also, what is the floodplain of Mirimichi? I'm assuming there's some sort of letter of map amendments and such.
So I don't think there is
This is stone.
there's a base flood elevation.
On the whole lake?
I don't think so, but I'm not sure. But I know that we filed, I think, so the Arthelets, Mr. and Mrs. Arthelet filed back in 2000, I think 17-ish. And I think, not sure, that they were not required to have flood insurance. And typically what that means is that FEMA, we did an elevation certificate for them. I know that there's no base flood elevation. So we did an elevation certificate for them, and they weren't required to do flood insurance. So usually that means that there's a
Maybe
low,
because of the dam?
that means there's a loamer out there. So
Okay.
I don't know, but I'll have the base flood elevation when I do the next.
And also, not to bring up pain in the neck things, but basically the roadway going in there it's a dam by default. I think it blocks up the old river that used to be there and the area that's
That's
full
up
of water.
beyond. The dam is up beyond.
No, I know, but if you drive down that roadway, you're going to see that roadway is a dam.
Levee.
And if you look at the old levee, whatever.
Yeah.
If you look at the old area maps, the topos and such, there used to be a river running through there. And that location is now ponded somehow. And it's actually a vernal pool, which I'm not even going to go there. Let's see. So there's this is a really tough nut to crack. Have you looked into using something like a prefab house? Seems to me that might be logical. You could just pop it in. Like
Well,
they did on Neponset Heights, the good ones?
Maybe, but it doesn't, it still needs a foundation. It still needs
Yeah.
I think the issue that you guys are concerned about is the digging, the demolition, and that, and whether you put in a prefabricated house or build a stick house. You still got to dig that out, you got to demo it, you got to put a foundation, and there's not
Okay,
a-
so basically you have a brand-new house. How is it going to comply with all the requirements? And,
This is Mirimichi.
I mean, even under the Wetlands Protection Act, is the ground stable? Is it going to turn mucky if it has all that extra weight? There are just so many questions. It's blowing my mind that that's even a possibility to put something there.
So those are all building commissioner questions. So he will decide if he
Well, we
wants.
deal with floodplain and stuff, too.
You just talked about the soil conditions. I was addressing soil conditions.
Oh.
So the soil conditions are, that would be the building commissioner. He would decide whether he wanted to see a structural engineer design, or he would let the architect design. That's his call, how he wants to see that done,
Wetland delineations largely go by soils these days, so it could be that the whole site has got wetland soils.
Yeah, I would doubt that very much.
I
I
would-
mean, as I told you, this has been there since at least 1940. So I could say the same thing about the entire city of Boston, but it doesn't fall under the Wetlands Protection Act. So,
We're not Boston.
but the whole city, most of the city of Boston is a filled,
It's filled, I know.
so I know all Back Bay is. But anyway, so I understand, so the retaining wall condition, across the street, I can tell you that that's just, they don't want to do that. I'll check on that notice of intent, 533, the base flood elevation, and I'll ask the building commissioner about what he's going to think about soil conditions. And he might not have an answer, he might be waiting until he sees some till they dig it out.
That would be part of the wetland, the new delineation process. They go by soils because plants lie. That's what they were saying at the class. So it's all about the soils. And soils in that whole area were kind of spongy.
Yeah. Well, we'll disagree on that then. It's been filled since at least 1940. So if there's a wetland soil down, whatever, and I'm sure
From
there's
inundation, though, it just
I'm
has
sure
said
there's a
2
section of
weeks.
the Wetland Protection Act that says after a certain period, you lose jurisdiction. Otherwise, my point is every place in Back Bay falls under the Wetlands Protection Act.
No, the soils, the wetland soils are caused by 3 continuous weeks of inundation, and it looks like the yard is just, inches above the water, so it's just something that we will want to look at. And I'm sure if Lauren does the delineation, she will. But it's different now. The wetland soils are big, it's more in line with the Army Corps.
I have not seen any documentation where they changed the regulations, or is this just a seminar that they were talking
It's
about?
not just a seminar. There's a whole new wetlands delineation book that the DEP put out that's modeled. They're going to be changing the regulations.
But it hasn't changed.
It hasn't yet.
Right, okay. That's like the stormwater, where my consultants always tell me, they're going to change the rainfall events. Have they changed it yet? No. Then we're just going to go with what the regulations are today.
So, as of this request, we are not going to be seeing any of the stone or concrete retaining wall being changed, removed, or replaced.
Right now, that's correct. I'm going to confirm it.
So there won't be any activity in the water or along the edge of the water against it.
That's correct. Yes.
For my understanding, because I can see where the Wading River is like right behind that, right? Is that flowing into Mirimichi or is that flowing out of Mirimichi?
It is flowing
out.
out
It's out.
behind it, and it's flowing in from under the street. What's that street? Wallamalla Park? No, it's not
No,
Wallamalla.
not Walmart.
Spruce Street. What does it turn into in Plainville?
Spruce Street is Mirimichi
Yeah.
in Plainville.
Mirimichi. Okay.
Yeah.
So it comes in under that bridge and goes out the dam, which is up on the north part too.
Yeah.
And you can see it on the map. I'll show it to you here. So here's the map again. So the dam is up here. Again, this is from the 40s. I think some of these houses are gone. And this path goes to the dam. So here's the dam.
Yeah.
I think what Jane was talking about earlier, I think it did come in this area here. I looked at that 1920s one, I didn't bring it with me. But it comes in up here. So that's the bridge they just fixed. It took them a year or so. So it comes in from the north and goes out to the south and hits the main channel of the Wading River, goes down by that cemetery, goes
Okay.
down by that lot you guys had to deal with over on the corner of
Yep,
South.
yep,
That'll be a walk in the park.
yeah, okay.
Compared to this,
Interesting.
that'll be a walk, that was a walk.
Do we have somebody who wants to zoom in? Bill, is that,
Somebody want to zoom in?
oh, I don't know. I don't know who that is.
It's just,
I think
it's
he's
just the homeowner.
I think Mr. Guenard is just watching.
Oh, okay, all right.
And he just sent me a chat that said it's FEMA sent him a letter that's not in a flood zone, which is what I thought.
Okay. So do we want to do a group site walk or individual?
I like group ones. And for Tanya, I think a group one first is easier,
I was there today, actually. I probably just missed you.
probably.
I can do one with you.
Next Monday, is that available?
so,
Monday's, no, it isn't. I was gonna say next Monday's Labor Day. It's not. Never mind.
Nope.
not yet,
Nope, nope.
Not yet.
don't rush it.
I'm not available the next couple of days. And Friday, it looks like it's going to be raining, so
That's what, the 28th?
a week from today, yeah.
That's Monday, the 28th. Yep, what time would you like to, if you want me to meet you there, I can, or you guys can do it yourself, whatever you want.
Not too early in the morning, but say 11 o'clock.
Perfect.
Might want a carpool
Yes.
from the town hall, let's say.
What's that?
Might want a carpool from town hall, because that's a tight road.
No, and I mean,
Yeah,
like
we
turning
could.
around was really bad.
It's your truck to do.
When I get
Must have been bad for me
the,
because I didn't get it. but
You can put everybody in the bed of my truck if you want. I mean,
might get my broken heart fixed.
So
Right at the front end.
you want to meet here at 10:45, Town Hall and carpool down?
sure.
Let me see something.
Okay.
Bill, I'm going to have this ready for you tonight because this is the 21st day.
My car hit that.
Hey, you want a letter?
Excuse me?
You want a letter?
Did what?
My car hit that
Maybe
over
an
the
extension.
weekend.
You can't extend an order, a request for determination. We have to give you our
Why not?
determination within 21 days, period.
Oh, I broke a
It
swing.
doesn't
Or it could be
say,
appealed.
That's what they call
it doesn't
swing.
say that you can if, unless it's,
No, determination is strictly 21 business days from the date that it's given and it's submitted. And it was submitted 3 Mondays ago. So today is day 21, so we have to give it to you today.
Or you can waive.
I don't think so, unless,
I've never heard that you couldn't grant an extension.
you're not supposed to.
If both agree.
You're not supposed to. If it was, someone wanted to appeal whatever the decision was, they could because of the lack of timing.
So what,
Or you can waive. You can always waive that period.
That's what I was going to do. And Jane's telling me that, no, we can't waive it. It has to be,
so what do we have to
We should
do,
sign
Jane?
something like.
I've got it all ready for you
The
guys to
notice
sign, we can just hand it
For
to
the
them.
requests. Yeah.
It's very simple.
Oh,
Really?
What?
I have 2 copies, so you get to sign 2 signature pages, and I can just hand it to him, and he can go on his merry way.
And what's that for, a positive or a negative determination?
I think positive. I think if they're gonna do anything, they're gonna have to file a notice of intent.
Okay,
I hate to see him go to all the trouble,
yeah,
but it's their decision.
all right, so, in other words, you want somebody to make a motion for a positive determination, is that your
Yes,
fervent
please.
request?
Yes. Let's see, there's a few different positives. There's, The boundaries of the resource area is listed below or not confirmed. I don't think they're listed, but we'll just say they're not confirmed by this determination, regardless of whether such boundaries are contained on the plans attached to this determination or request for determination. The work described on reference plan and documents is in an area subject to protection under the Act and will remove, fill, dredge, or alter the area. Therefore, said work requires the filing of a notice of intent. So there's 2B and there's 3. And, sorry, under the wetlands, under the bylaw, the area under, so number 5 is it's subject to review under the bylaw. And that should do it. So 2B, 3, and 5, positive. I don't see what else you could do.
Want to make a motion? Got everybody speak at once?
Make a motion request for a positive determination on 30 Taylor Road, based on the numbers of the things that Jane just read off.
2B, 3, and 5.
2B, 3, and 5.
Do I hear a second?
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you.
Okay, so here is your 2 things to sign, and we can give one to Mr. Buckley.
So what time are we going to meet next Monday?
10:45 here at Town Hall.
10:45?
10:45, okay.
And then we'll carpool down.
Bill, I'm looking at the USGS map on here too, and it's funny, the location that they're citing, unless the location of the property is off, they're showing running water, like, right adjacent to that site, emptying out of Mirimichi into the Wading River. Is there?
It used to be that way, I
Is that the
think.
1920 map you're looking at?
It's the most recent one I just pulled up online.
That's weird. It's a topo?
Is it a USGS or is it one of those,
No, this is, well, that's a good, actually, that's a great question. Nationalmap.gov.
Time, first official.
Sounds good.
no, there is nothing there that I've ever seen. Certainly on the other side of the road, it's totally wet, and there's probably, like Jane just said, if you look at the old maps, it looks like,
Reference to an old map, maybe you think?
looks like it used to.
So that's what it looks like.
Contacts, I need this too.
Municipal power.
That's from the old one. I think a lot of these things, like assessors maps, are notorious for not being accurate, especially the farther you get out from the center of the town.
I mean, it's just a good reason why to get out there and look at it, to see that, but I'm just looking at it like, wait a minute.
I always tell
Looks like there's a
people,
river there.
those things are just a starting point. Well, I think there used to be a river
Okay,
there.
fair.
Okay. Not the local bylaw, you pointed out. Yeah. Supposedly you contacted power after the other one.
Jane, you're right. I never knew that.
What's that?
So for a request for determination, it says 21 days.
I hope I'd be right. And that would be a grounds for
Waive it.
appeal if you were so inclined.
So under but if you go to a notice of intent, it says, public hearing shall be held within 21 days.
Open.
Then it says,
Then you
shall be
21
held,
days
and then it
to
says,
close.
may be continued as follows. Or under a request for determination, there's nothing in there that says, may
Right.
be continued as follows. I never knew that.
And there's case law
Thanks.
there's case law to that effect. I thought you were just being tricky.
No, I'm not. I'm the least tricky guy you'll ever meet.
I know, I'm teasing you.
Okay, thanks, guys. We'll see you.
Well, don't leave yet. I gotta give you
I was
your,
gonna say, if the law doesn't say
The
that it
important page
can't
is
be
here.
continued, then why can't it be continued, right?
I don't know.
Because it's not
I mean,
mentioned.
I don't know, I just,
Because it's not
21-day
mentioned, doesn't
requirement
say.
is like.
but under a notice, it specifically says it, and under a request, it
Right.
doesn't. So, I mean,
That's the,
Play it safe, I guess.
Okay, I gotta
I
put
knew
this
it,
stuff.
I know, I mean, I knew the answer. I just,
Phil, you know, I know my stuff. I go to those silly conferences. And also, it's kind of fun to see case law and what they do.
there's a lot of,
Unless you're on top of it
ambiguity
every second,
and stuff.
yeah.
So, you
No,
know,
that's
so
why
we can
there's
agree to
case law.
disagree like we do, a lot.
What's that? What'd you say?
I said, there's a lot of ambiguity, so we can agree to disagree like we do.
Yeah, but I don't
A
say
lot.
things unless I'm pretty sure of myself, because I don't want to not know.
Did you say you want to be here?
We've
Excuse me?
got the
It's right here for you.
paperwork
Oh, all
for
right,
you.
yeah, that's,
And I've got your little things that go along with it too, just because I'm gonna,
I don't care. You don't have to record these.
oh, I know. But just so that the homeowner has a chance to look at this stuff and know what he's
Thank you.
dealing with from the town's perspective. The state would say, go ahead. But the town is more strict.
All right. Good night, everyone. Have a good
Good
night.
night.
Thanks.
Nothing on Baker Street, so Upper Carpenter Dam, the pond bridge needs to be repaired. Have we made any progress on that, Jane, at all?
No, I don't know where I go, honestly. I feel like a wimp, but I.
my husband made a suggestion that you want to reach out to other organizations, maybe the New England Mountain Biking Association might be willing to help out with the repairs, because they use those trails a lot.
I was thinking NIMBA.
Yeah,
I just haven't had the bandwidth to get in touch with them. I mean, I've got people who've been telling me about it, and it's getting worse, and obviously it's being picked at. Because
it's
the
not in
first
good
time I heard about it, it really wasn't bad at all. See, the thing is, Tom Ashton used to do this stuff for us, but I think he used his lumber, what is the portable lumber cutter upper? What is that?
Sawmill.
Sawmill?
Thank you, that's the word.
Oh.
I think he would use that, and he would use his wood. And his wood is not pressure treated or anything like that, so.
It's just raw
Seems to me
wood,
he
yeah.
fixed it not long ago.
Rots
even.
wood.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I really miss him.
This has a bond to that.
He does not.
Okay.
Thing is, you probably need a four-wheeler to help bring some of those boards up there, instead of walking in, trying to bring them in by hand. Or a four-wheeler that has a
I gave him
trailer,
Page one. Might not have given him page
it's
one.
wide enough to go up that road,
Yeah.
all the way up to
Yeah.
that area. Because that's how they,
Coming off of Lakeview, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I got an extra
that's how
page
the
one,
town went in to repair that
Yeah.
overflow.
but oops.
Or-
I'll
or
give him the
to-
rest of it.
Yeah.
And I think Chris was around when it got repaired. I think he was here.
Chris?
I'm gonna check to see if I gave him the right
don't know.
first page. If I gave him a first.
I'm not sure. So,
Because once you get up there, you have an area you can turn around in any type of vehicle, so.
yeah.
It's a little risky with a pickup truck, because there's some places that was grown in that wet spot, that one wet spot,
Yeah.
that's halfway there. You could get bogged down.
Yeah. Even with four-wheel.
Yeah, I don't think so. They got wider tires in the pickup truck.
Yeah. No, I meant four-wheel drive on the pickup.
Yeah.
So anything else then? Jen?
I've been holding this in my hot little hands. I need to get your yay or nay. So your dues are due for the MACC annual dues. And so we need to figure out how many people there are, and obviously we'll take off Jeff Ames and we'll put in Tanya. And then staff, do you usually get a, are they being hopeful, or do you usually get a membership in MACC?
Got one once.
Well, you're listed on here, so if you would like it, you can have it. And then also, they usually ask you if you want to, 65 person. Usually they have a blip in here about getting the MACC
Handbook?
online handbook.
Hmm.
So if any of you definitely will need it. And I have a whole lot of stuff for you. You'd need to come into the office and I'll just dump it all on you and get you totally confused. But the online handbook, I love it. I need it. And you want it too?
I do too.
All right. Anyone else care to re-up it? I think it's $15 a year, isn't it? It's not listed on this. I don't know why. Usually they want to get you everywhere they can. Oh, sorry. Add $20 for each e-handbook subscription. So for,
Does it change substantially from, like, so I think I have the one hard copy from when I first joined. Are there a lot of updates to it
I
year to year?
criticized them recently, the MACC director, I said, it's not changed in years. And there've been changes to the laws. So I noticed that they did add some more
Okay.
stuff in
All right.
a little, like in the front forward.
Sure, count me in.
All right, so Peter, Rebecca, me, and
Anya?
Anya. And if you want any information in there, just wind me up and say,
Yeah.
here, go look for this and give it to me, okay? Because you can do a word search in it, and which is what I do a lot of the times, and they're pretty comprehensive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the online one is really pretty good. We used to get real paper copies, but now we have to pay for it. But in theory, it's updated, and I think it was finally updated recently.
Good.
Good.
Anything else?
That's all I can think of.
Well, thanks for having us this past weekend.
Oh,
That was
you're welcome.
fun.
Nice.
Good.
Yeah.
Sorry, some of you didn't make it, but
My
that's what
apologies.
happens.
Had to visit friends and family on Lake Cayuga. It was a tough choice.
Aw,
Make a motion, huh? Close the meeting.
Do I hear a second? All
Second.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Thank you.